Good evening, my fellow lightworkers of YouTube and beyond. Amber here, in my role of fairy cheerleader, bippity boppity boo, here to bring you a little pep talk. Now, I want to say first off that I am not channeling this message, that the ideas I am presenting tonight, my opinions, my attitudes, my insights, are all coming from my lived experience. And I do not expect or even want to change people's minds, whatever. I just feel that it's important to share my perspective. And I invite everyone to consider the concepts that I'm presenting and perhaps use those concepts to reframe what's going on with your own thoughts and emotions. That's all. So, tonight I am embracing the energies of the full moon that just happened in the wee hours of this morning, as well as the fact that Mercury has just stationed direct. Mercury rules Gemini, and both Mercury and Gemini have a lot to do with communication. And the moon rules emotions and our sense of security. And so together, I think that this is a really prime time to dig deep into how we express our emotions and what trips us up. So, yesterday, I think last night, I watched a video by Colleen, the Cool Crone, where she was questioning why so many readers on YouTube are basically kind of censoring themselves or being extra cautious around their readings regarding the election that has happened here in the US. And specifically trying to not give false hope. I want to question, this is the question I've been asking. Why are we rejecting hope in favor of safety or protecting the feelings of others? Why is hope something to be rejected? We are light workers. Hope is important. And I realized that this is very much tied to the trauma that we have all been subjected to over the past few years, especially those of us who do pay attention to what's going on in the realm of politics here and around the world. We're empaths. And as empaths, we are more vulnerable. And hope is a very vulnerable state to be in. Right? And I feel that that's like the primary reason people are trying to avoid hope is because they don't want to be vulnerable, or they don't want to lead the people in their communities into the state of vulnerability. But as empaths, a lot of us are survivors, right? We've been through trauma before, or through dysfunctional family dynamics or interpersonal relationships. And even though a lot of us have come out of those circumstances, risen above them, there's still a lot of coping mechanisms that cling, right? That once served a purpose, but in this case, I think it's time to really examine certain coping mechanisms to see, like, are they actually serving us in this case? Um, Vulnerability and hope. You know, hope is bringing light, and vulnerability is very powerful. Um, I've definitely through working on my own stuff, listened to like Brene Brown, and she really goes into depth on vulnerability. So I invite you to read her work, or listen to her talks, if you'd like more info on that. But vulnerability is an openness. And as empaths, I think vulnerability is an important element of the talents that we bring forward. If we are readers, if we are reading cards, if we're channeling, vulnerability is part of that openness to the messages from higher realms. And yes, it comes with its downsides, and a lot of us have experienced that, you know, in our youth or whatever. Like that is part of the lessons that we are here to learn, is that we get hurt because we are vulnerable empaths and optimistic, and we get let down or we get hurt. So it's totally understandable. But at this point in time, is it really serving our highest good to reject hope in favor of caution, in favor of protecting ourselves? And especially to, with the best intentions, of course, but to protect the people that we may influence with our messages. I know, as someone who's been viewing WooTube for a couple of years now, it's been made very clear from my perspective that they are presenting their information as a service, but they're also making it clear that they are fallible humans still learning the lessons here on earth that they are meant to to learn, right? And they don't profess to be 100% right with the interpretations, because those, what messages are coming through with their study of astrology, or through the symbols that come through on the cards, or even when they're interpreting, you words or visions that come through channeling. What I have seen is that they all make it clear that the interpretation part of these messages is being filtered through their brains, and through the attitudes that have developed through their own lived experiences. I feel that that has been communicated very clearly. Everybody always says, for entertainment purposes only, and that is ethical to present that straight up. I don't see people who are like, yes, just trust what I have to say, don't question it. That's more of the narcissistic message. And I'm not seeing that here in this community of light workers. But what I am seeing now is that a lot of these light workers, not all, but some, are taking on this sense of responsibility for how their messages impact their viewers. And I kind of want to deconstruct that, because I see that as a very well-known trauma response. It's codependence. And it's very well-meaning. We want to protect the feelings of others. We don't want to lead them into false hope and, encourage them to be vulnerable if things change and bad things happen, right? But I invite you all to question, are you responsible for how people react to the messages that you feel called to bring forward? Especially if those messages are full of hope and light, if they're uplifting. If someone listens to you and maybe they put a little more stock in your words, forgetting that you are human and fallible and have your own filters, if they get so wrapped up in the messages that you bring forth and accept it as gospel, as the saying goes, is that your fault? Is it your fault if their hopes are dashed, if things in this timeline don't play out the way we thought they would? Or is that their lesson to learn? That maybe they need to invest less in the messages of others and tap into their own guides and intuition more. Are we actually serving a higher purpose if we dampen down our own hopefulness, our own optimism, trying to stay realistic, trying to protect the feelings of others, is that actually serving the highest good? Or is it important to let people learn their own lessons, to have their own free will, to consume the messages that they're drawn to listen to or to watch, and use their discernment? So that's what I want to say about that. And yeah, I hope that this food for thought is valuable for some of you out there. While I was pondering this in the wee hours of the morning, I decided to pull a card. And I don't play with cards very often, but I felt called to. So, I'm using this deck, Inspirations for Survivors. This was illustrated by a good friend of mine, Anya Khan. And this is the card I pulled. Emotions are the freedom given to express ourselves. And I want to read the little blurb here from the book. We are free to feel every emotion, good, bad, or indifferent. Allowing healthy emotions to fuel our mind and body permits us to understand our needs, our desires, and ourselves. We must embrace the bad emotions just as we do the good, so we can work through each emotion effectively. Alone, they are guides full of options and suggestions, but coupled with persistence and positivity, we can use them with our minds to find a path that leads to greater enlightenment and openness. So I felt that message was very on point. As empaths, we are here to experience all emotions, the full spectrum, and learn. And so now here we have this opportunity to feel hope, and yes, there is a risk that may bring consequences that bring up negative emotions, right? But is that a reason to avoid hope? We're strong. We're the survivors. We've been through really negative circumstances before, and the devastating emotions, the negative emotions. And at least for my part, it's a risk I'm willing to take. If I'm opening myself up, if I'm so vulnerable that I'm opening myself up to crushing reality and the emotions that brings, well, if it doesn't kill me, it makes me stronger, right? So, now I want to get to the second topic that's been on my mind. And this has to do with the drones and the UAP sightings all over the world, but with a lot of focus around the US. And I've been observing the reactions to this event. I've seen in comments that people are really downplaying this as a distraction. If it is just a distraction, personally, it's a distraction that I welcome because it's fun. This is so much fun to be able to speculate about what these things are, why they're here, who's behind them. And that sense of fun is such a departure from all of the distractions that we've been subjected to over the past several years that were distractions, keeping our eyes away from nefarious deeds going on behind the curtain, right? But those distractions weren't fun. They were rabbit holes, but there was a lot of lower energy going on there. We were focused on them and bringing that focus with a sense of fear or a cautious hope that the certain people would finally get justice, stuff like that. Darker, murky energies to those distractions. This is different for me, and I think possibly for many, many people. This is sparking curiosity, imagination, hope, experimentation. People are really engaging. And to me, that's beautiful energy. And I invite you all to just go with it. Suspend your disbelief for a moment. Just like we do when we're reading books, watching a good movie, like, something with a really engaging story that's out there, right? Fantasy or science fiction. This event defies our modern understanding of the world. And it does seem like something that's not real. But have fun with it, right? If you can. Because that is uplifting energy. Having fun, having an imagination, like speculating about, are these our intergalactic cousins here for a reunion, right? Here to help us. Are they here to, like, show us things that we never considered before? It's a doorway to a new adventure. if we allow ourselves to get into that headspace, suspend our disbelief, get excited. Because even if this is some kind of psyops, right? Some kind of psychological warfare, I don't think a lot of people really are falling for the lower vibrations that they would intend if this was psychological warfare. Yeah, sure, some people are going to be scared, and that's just where they are in their life journey. But I don't think that's the majority of us. And even if it does turn out to be like human technology, the fact that we've never seen it before is still kind of exciting, right? And it's still something to be revealed. Anyway, so I think that's all I have to say. I'm excited. I believe. I want to believe. I want to stay in this vulnerable space of hope and curiosity. And I think that's an important part of the work we are here to do, to hold the light in these very chaotic times on our planet. So I just invite you all to consider your own attitudes, what you are responsible for and what you are not. And have fun. Celebrate. We're seeing things you've never seen before, and it's exciting. It's so exciting. Love to all of you out there. I know I only have a handful of viewers, but I feel these messages are important. So, and those aren't orbs, that's cat hair floating around. If you're seeing things around me, it's cat hair. Yes. I'm going to sign off now. Blessed be.